Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Thursday stream. Welcome. We have not seen each other for a while now. It's been again another busy week. We are right now at my primary job, extremely like a little bit busy schedule. Let's put it this way, because right now people are planning to go for summer vacations. So obviously they want to finish everything that they have right at the same time at once. So just a little bit busy. So sorry for not being able to do a lot more videos than I would wish. But there is video coming up tomorrow. Today we're gonna talk with you guys. Hello. Hello. I want to start by saying huge thanks again to all of my channel's moderators, both in Discord and here. Guys, you're amazing. The work that you're doing and the effort that you're putting is beyond any recognition. So thank you so much. And I also want to extend all my love and warmth and care to Lisa and her family right now, just because I think she could definitely use some love. I hope everything will be fine. I hope everything will be okay. Lisa, we love you. Please, whenever you have the time, drop by, and we are really looking to see you back. In other news, Ukraine is doing quite well, and we're gonna get to it. Guys, we're having a Q&A tab at the top of the chat, so you can just press there, write your question, and now the questions will not run away anymore, so I will be able to read all of them, which is great. Additionally, now also I was able, with the new YouTube functionality, to also have all the super chats and super thanks and all of the other things also open, so I did not miss anything. As I did before, really, YouTube is like tailor-making experience for me, suited so I can help you out. And finally, there is a link that is up in description. If you ever consider donating me on this stream to support my channel, I appreciate it so much. But more importantly, I think what we all need to do is not just support me, but support the Ukrainian armed forces, and use that link to help us get enough money for the truck to send to the Ukrainian armed forces. It's not, the money is not going to go to me. It's going to go to the 69 Sniffing Brigade, and they're going to buy a truck. They're really nice, really trustworthy guys. You can later on, I can show you their channel if you're worried. It's all good. Anyway, let me read some of the super chats, and we're going to start discussing today's news, because people were writing before the stream started. So Captain Copenhagen, congratulations on the name change. Slava Ukrainian, I did, my friend. How about doing a meetup in Denmark, drinking a few beers? I know you're living in Odense, right in the middle of Denmark. Well, Odense, I mean, like, yeah, technically it is in the middle of Denmark, though. People in Jutland will probably argue with you. The deal is, like, for the next month, I'm literally tied up. Like, I am really busy. I'm going to be traveling. So unfortunately, both at job and outside the job, I'm really packed right now. There is very little free time that I have. Like, even today, I was not sure if I will be able to do the stream, but here I am. Okay, welcome to Brother in Arms, and I need to read this nickname. Give me a second. Taiste Lukakuna. I think you already been in the Brother in Arms for a while, or at least you donated. And I butchered your name, obviously, that's what I do. My name is not Sally, thanks for $5. Emily, thanks for $20. Victory indeed, my friends. Lynn Stefanic, thanks so much for $7 Canadian. Cats Hype, yes, £5. Thank you. Thomas, thank you for 30 Czech kronas. And Karen, welcome to Brother in Arms. Perfect. We are starting. Guys, how are you today? Like, I see you're writing in chat that you're doing quite well. I see Ali is already doing what moderators do. Like, it's incredible. Moderators are just love and everything. I miss you guys. Gotta say, I really missed doing the streams. One of the probably most, how do you say, the thing that I was itching the most was, we recently had a stream with Johnny from the ATP Geopolitics. I believe it's a tripping philosopher or something like this. I don't know. He has a weird thing, the name that I just cannot pronounce. I think there is a word that is in the name, but I don't, like, my English language knowledge unfortunately doesn't extend far enough. Anyway, Johnny from ATP is really cool. I loved our conversation. I think it was really nice, really cool. There's a whole stream if you want to watch it. It's interesting, but I really wanted to get some of your questions in, like, because you are making some really good comments, and I was really considering that after the stream is over, that I should maybe start, like a follow up, just because there was like a lot of really good conversations that you guys were pitching in, and unfortunately we didn't do it back then. So I've been itching to get to this point for a while. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. Remember, if you want to just ask a question, there is a Q&A attached to at the top right questions here, and I will get them and they will not run away. Okay. Before we go, what? Sandy, I just passed my oral for the private French exam today and went quite well. Congratulations. Congratulations on your exam. That's very important. Level 70, Artur Rechi stated that the Russians moved their reserves into the south to match the numbers of Ukrainian troops. Are we going to see changes in tactics from Ukrainians now? So what was happened? Let's quickly cover what's been happening in the south, because some people, some of my moderators were posting some of the messages saying that people still believe Russian propaganda. And for people that still believe Russian propaganda, even after I did like 2 videos on it, and also I know like Dennis and other big YouTube channels have like finally realized their position was maybe not the most accurate, and they also reversed. So if people still believe this, that is extremely unfortunate, and I can only say that this is all wrong, right? If you haven't known, then this is propaganda. Russia has been showing the same vehicles over and over and over again. Like, Ukrainian offensive is going pretty well. But importantly, with regards to what was happening in the past couple of days, because people were wondering, why is there like no advances? Well, firstly, as Artur Rechi has been stating, yes, that is absolutely correct. Russians has been responded, and they've been very liberally activating their reserves. Something that I said basically right as the couple of days into offensive. I told you that Russians were activating their reserves from a backline to help them in the Orikhiv direction, which was the initial breakthrough. It's like where all of these pictures are coming from, with the Leopards and Bradleys burned. And now they're also activating reserves on other directions. So Russians are very active to not let Ukrainians even reach the fortification lines. So they're which is like, it's not like a totally wrong idea to prevent it. The problem is that it's a lot of resources that Russia is engaging, and once these resources, like, think about it this way. The best way to think about the front line and a battlefield is that once you take some grouping of your forces and you dedicate them to the front line, then front line is like made of glue. So it's possible to move them out of there, yes, but it's extremely hard, and most probably you're gonna tear and turn, like you're gonna leave scars and like breaks in that position, so essentially weakening it as well. So it's very hard to disengage the troops that you already engage in a certain directions, and the same thing goes here. So if Russia has reserves and it engages reserves on the front line, it's very hard to then disengage them. So once they're there, Ukraine knows they're engaged and they cannot be taken out. So in the last couple of, like, in the last pretty much couple of like 3, 4, 5 days ish, I believe it's like it's alternated. There was a stormy and rainy weather, so that meant like no drone protection, no how do you say, like tank advancements, like proper tank, because ground is slippery and muddy. So only what was possible is localized offensives. Ukraine advanced quite far on the Novosilka direction, and they took some of the settlements that were advanced, and from there they've been basically fighting off some of the Russian counterattacks that Russia was trying to do. None of the Russian counterattacks succeeded. None. Not a single one. Ukraine, like, okay, maybe somewhere that I just don't know, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if there is like a 1 or 2 small positions that are taking from Ukraine. I don't know about them, but like, if some person randomly appears, here's the video of like Russians taking off a position, I would not be surprised. But in general, like for like 99% of what's happening in the south right now, Ukraine is not losing positions. And it's fine. So the positions that Ukraine taken during this time of rain has not been lost. So it's all fine. Then, with regards to what Ukraine will gonna do now, so analysts basically looked at it like and said that Ukraine is probably gonna do how it was called, like a cascading offensive. Like I'm regurgitating right now because the term was, I think, cascading offensive. So basically, they want to attack Russia, then Russia responds and sends the troops into directions where Ukraine attacked. Then they want to attack again in some other directions with like bigger force to make Russia like move the troops again, and then attack again, and then attack again, until attack again, and kind of get the level of intensity up. At least that is what the analysts describe. Obviously, mines is a problem, but Ukraine has definitely stated in one of those how do you say, like, fixing errors that were at the initial stages, that demining vehicles need to be in a larger quantities, and the use of demining vehicles needs to be reviewed. So all in all, the biggest confusion, like kind of to sum up this whole speech, the biggest confusion about what's happening in the south right now is that right now we don't see a lot of action because there was weather problems, but also it's not going to be like, I think Kharkiv offensive really spoiled us. So this offensive is going to be slower, more like the Kherson offensive, where Ukraine will push, and then at some point parts of the front line Russia will just not be able to hold. Like they will just not be attainable for Russians. And then like Ukraine will retake large chunks of land. And then again, like maybe there's going to be part of the land is going to be again holding, and then something like these the changes will accumulate, and then suddenly just execute. So I'm thinking that it's going to be something more like that. But again, the most important part in all of this discussion is that only General Staff of Ukraine knows their plans. The number of forces and the capabilities Ukraine is having is staggering. Right now, it is massive, so it is fine. Ukraine have not lost any major forces. Whatever was lost, whatever Russia is showing around, whatever it is, it's single, like, how do I put it? It's like specks of dust compared to what Ukraine is having. It's literally nothing. So I cannot confirm you that like, how do you say? Because I don't know the plans of Ukrainians, right? So I can only speculate with some degree of confidence, because that is how everything looks and that's how everything lines up once you remove the propaganda. But what I can do what I do with my sources. Like, let's test my sources again. So let's say if until the end of July, there is not going to be any major advances of Ukrainians, then you'll say, Georgie, you were wrong. Your sources were wrong. Unsubscribe. Gonna go watch History Legends or something. And I believe, and that's important. Like, I believe it's going to be major advances. And I think the offensive, the main part, like the biggest bulk of offensive, I believe is going to happen closer to maybe mid to late August and towards September, like the main push. Because by that time, I believe Russia will suffer significant damage. Because one of the important things that what Ukraine is doing is basically what is in thumbnail. Right now, we're hearing day after day, video after video of Ukrainians just targeting all of the important assets of the Russians. We see their artillery systems being taken out. We see their command posts taken out, their generals being taken out. We see concentration of forces being taken out, like HIMARS right now, HIMARS systems, especially if you follow any sources, you'll notice that the frequency of videos of HIMARS systems working at the south has increased significantly. So Ukraine is eroding defenses of the Russians. Ukraine is eroding command chain, and Ukraine is doing good work. Trust in the armed forces of Ukraine. If you are skeptical, fine. Let's be skeptical. Give time until the end of July. It's not going to cost you. But if at the end of July you'll see that, for example, Ukraine breaches through the second line of defense, maybe it's not going to be like a full breakthrough yet, but at least it's going to be, significant movements that we all can see that Ukraine is continuing the advances. If that's going to happen, then, well, who was right again? So you want to be skeptical? That's fair. Let's be that way. Just give Ukraine some time. Trust in the armed forces of Ukraine. Okay, let's see what you wrote. Keep up the good work. Love from Stockholm. Thank you so much, Apostolos Apostolidis. Thank you so much for 50 Swedish kronos. Cats, Slava Ukraini. Heroim Slava, my friend. Fuck Putin. Yes. Marv, thank you so much for $5. Lloyd Austin slapped down the Russian propaganda about Ukrainian losses today after the Ramstein meeting, and it was hilarious. Yes, he basically said exactly what I've been saying like a week ago. A week ago, I said that Russia is showing exactly the same propaganda videos, only from different angle. And now today, Russian, Russian, what is it called on Twitter? Russian Defense Ministry or something posted exactly the same video, only from a new angle again. So it's hilarious. Like that's what makes me, that's what makes me confident, because I know just how much power Ukraine still has in reserves, and I know that Russians are reacting really fast. So Ukrainians are seeing everything what Russians are doing, and I know that so far Russians have been not able to show anything. Obviously, Lancet drones are a problem. I think I know it. I think you know it. I don't need to repeat it every time. Lancet drones are a problem for Ukraine. There is still not a very proper defense against the Lancet drones, because what happens is Ukraine tries to destroy, so it's a complex system. So Russians are sending in planes and then trying to drop these glide bombs on the concentration of forces of Ukrainians. So Ukrainians are forced to bring their air defense system closer to the front line. And then these air defense systems, for example, Avengers or Manpads or anything else, are being targeted by the Lancet drones. And when Ukraine tries to bring it something that can fight the Lancet drones, for example, like Gepards and so on, then they're being instantly targeted by the helicopters. So it's a weird situation where Russia is pretty well, I wouldn't say dominant, because it's still contested. Russia doesn't dominate the sky, but it's not easy for Ukrainians to protect against those Lancet drones, and that's a kind of known weakness. This is the problem of not having F-16s. Literally, this problem with Lancet drones is there only because Ukraine does not have the full control of the skies, because Ukraine doesn't have F-16s. So while HIMARS can substitute F-16s and planes in a ground-to-ground kind of aspect, like, for example, from air-to-ground aspects, so they can hit valuable targets, they cannot provide as comprehensive anti-air coverage as F-16s could have. So that's the issue. That's the main kind of problem. All right, so what do we have? Lloyd Austin, yes. Where do you think armed forces of Ukraine will break through? So, Zach, thanks so much for $5. So there are multiple ways where the breakthrough can happen. Firstly, I am pretty sure Ukraine has a plan for if Russia will resist equally good on all fronts. Then there is some kind of plan where they will just advance through the tactical positions, improve their positions slowly until the position is untenable for Russia. The other point where Ukraine will probably strike and where they saw the weakness is where the responsibility in between two units interacts. So, for example, right in between two units points. So there's like one group and there's the second, and then Ukraine will try to erode in the middle because there might happen some kind of miscommunication or just generally a weaker position because it's not in the center of the unit. So Ukraine will strike there. The third option is we see that while a lot of Russian troops right now are still fighting, and a lot of them are doing resistance. Again, this is something that I said is pretty much a possibility. We see that there's also units that are literally running away. It's not all of them. I'm not saying it's all of them, but there are units like this. And if and when Ukraine finds these units, it might be a significant enough weak spot for Ukrainians to strike. Ukraine doesn't need a lot. Ukraine needs a corridor of 5 to 10 kilometers only to just open through the front line. And if it's just one space, it's enough. It's going to break through and it then can pour through and then it can make that corridor larger. Because forces Ukraine has. And if it gets access to the deep rears, then it's going to be fine. So when we're talking when Ukraine will strike, that's where the Ukraine will strike. At least that's what my analysts that are following are saying. Did you hear about the HIMARS strike on Kremina? Yes, so the HIMARS strike of Kremina is one of those that I just said. The strike on Kremina was supposed to take out Russian general. So Russian general said that he wants to speak to the units around Kremina, and he wants to give awards to some of the soldiers. So all of the soldiers were pulled out of the barracks and they were set out on the Platz. And as they were standing there and waiting, the general actually got late, and then either by accident or because of he found out something about this, basically the HIMARS arrived when the general were supposed to give out the awards. And this general is known that he is kind of like a substitute general if a current one that is commanding the forces on the south will die. Then this general is actually the substitute general. So it was a kind of a known target, and because he was late, bunch of soldiers, like I've heard numbers of like 100, but maybe less. But the point is, like, a lot of soldiers got hurt, which is nice, but like obviously general were the target. Yes. Subhero, hey man, nice to see you. Want to donate 10 euros for the truck, but site won't let me, so I'll donate here. Slava Ukraini. Thank you so much, my friend. Yeah. I know that some people also reported the site is not the best. So we'll see what we can do after this campaign. But so far, this is kind of like, at least I know that they're working with majority of people. Captain Competent, if Ukraine are trained as NATO soldiers and according to NATO protocols, then they lack the air superiority, which is the NATO strategy is based on. Correct. Ukraine is not... it's a little bit incorrect statement, so I'm going to correct you a little bit. Ukraine does not fight and is not trained like NATO. There is a lot of NATO elements that goes into Ukrainian training, but Ukrainians are not being trained like NATO soldiers, as you correctly said, because Ukraine doesn't possess all of the assets in the NATO toolbox. So they're being trained in a way that would be suitable for Ukraine to fight. So they're being trained in a Ukrainian NATO way, right? So something like that. And as a biggest example that I've heard, like when I watched some videos from like the surgeons, the trainings that was happening, the biggest example that kind of explains it all for me was that a lot of these sergeants, they were saying, like, whenever we're training younger troops, we can yell at them, we can try to enforce them, psychologically influence them, make sure that they are, being morally pushed, so they train harder. With Ukrainians, a lot of the guys that Ukraine is mobilizing, they're older. There are people that are like, 40, 45 years old, like 35 and so on. So they are people that already lived some life, right? And when people are already in that part of their life, then they don't react the same way when they're being yelled at. So a lot of times it creates significant resentment, and resentment not in a kind of positive anger way, but in a more negative, passive way, that the training is just bullshit, that like the only thing that is happening here, we're being abused here, because people are trying to evaluate like who the fuck are you training 24-year-old. I'm like 45 already, I have like 2 kids, a family, and so on. So there needs to be adaptation, right? And this is only illustrative, obviously, what I'm saying to you, but generally speaking, this is what the situation is. There needs to be a certain level of adaptation, and obviously Ukraine doesn't have a lot of capabilities that NATO has, and therefore it cannot be trained on these capabilities. Especially because NATO is fighting in a smaller units. NATO is not fighting like Ukraine. Moreover, a lot of NATO stuff, it has been designed to train against a weaker enemy. I know. We are thinking about ourselves, the Westerners, the NATO, completely superiors, but we need to understand that no NATO country has fought a peer adversary. No NATO country has fought a peer adversary. I think the closest to peer adversaries was the war between Turkey and Greece. I believe that was like the closest thing that there was. And again, it was not really the same. Right, you cannot compare U.S. invasion into Iran a peer combat. That's not a peer combat. Okay, QR. I hope that Putin will go to visit his dear buddy Silvio Berlusconi. For sure, I hope that as well. Though I would prefer that Putin gets to Hague and gets charged, because Falklands War, bitch. Like, you're saying to me that oh my god, I'm mispronouncing. Argentine could have put up, like, at that moment in time, could have put up with the British Navy. Seriously? It's like it could have worked, like what Argentine did, like trying to retake Falklands. If UK would say we don't care. But they didn't. Argentina. Oh my god. Fuck it. Like, like, guys, I am Ali is my moderator. She's the best. Ali is the best. Hearts in chat for Ali. So you get what I mean. Like, UK and British Navy is leagues beyond whatever Argentina has. Argentina. Thank you so much. Electrolab, thank you so much for that. Yes, hearts in chat for Ali. Thank you, Ali. You're the best. Richard Bennett, thanks for £5. Thanks, Georgie, and keep up the good work. Good answer. Thank you. Who is Ali? Just explained. All right, we can go to questions. Teresa Anspau, if I mispronounce, sorry, but I'm butchering names of the countries, and like me butchering names of people is not even surprising. When will the F-16 be coming on board? I believe September, October, earliest. I don't believe that they will come in summer. But if they come, I think there will be a push to get them before the warm weather ends in September. I believe F-16s will be pushed to get to last kind of part of the offensive. Hopefully. We'll see. Dr. Canada, how's the weather in Ukraine at the moment? I hope it's nice enough for them. No, it's been raining and thunderstorms at the south. It's going to get better in the coming days. Mark McGarrett, looks like Andrew Mercado is going to drive one of the trucks with NATO. Are you going to go too? Unfortunately, my friend, I just don't have the time. I'm going to be completely busy. The thing is, like, I have a okay career, right? I have an okay career. I'm working in a big company, and there's a lot of people that are literally, with their livelihood as well. They're also depending on me delivering on my promises and so on. So, like, Unfortunately, I have my full-time job. YouTube is not my primary income. So I send all my warmest love to all of the people that will send the vehicles to Ukraine. But unfortunately, I will not be there. Steven, thank you so much. Good work, Georgie. GLSDB. GLSDB should arrive in midsummer. GLSDB should arrive midsummer. That's the expectation. So July, August. That's kind of the outline for GLSDB. Okay. Bag of spanners. Any news about Adam Delimkhanov? Seems to be different reports. So I said that with Delimkhanov there was a news that he was destroyed, but gotta say the news were really weird because like it looked like trolling, to be honest, because he supposedly disappeared, and then there's instantly all these articles on the Russian media that it was Wagnerites that sold out the coordinates for Delimkhanov to Ukrainian military at the same time. It's almost like in a matter of hours. Then there's like some of these anti-Wagner campaigners start appearing. Then Kadyrov writing online to Ukrainian military, asking them to provide with detailed information of where Delimkhanov was. It's like, what? Like, what? So there's a lot of things not following up for me. So I am not sure that Delimkhanov is actually dead. So until it is confirmed, I'm gonna be a little bit skeptical. So no, so far no confirmed news. Remember, if you want to write a question, write them in the write questions here section. Just press at the top here. It's in blue. Lil Bobs, if Ukraine finds a breach in the Russian line, which direction should they hit first, Tokmat or Mariupol? It doesn't matter, to be honest, Lil Bobs. Like, as soon as they go into the back of Russians, that whole thing collapses. So it doesn't really, like, Tokmak obviously would be the benefit, the most beneficial. Tokmak would be beneficial because that's literally the logistics hub. You know, it's just going to help Ukraine utilize Tokmak itself, like to go forward, to have this logistics. But even they just advance towards Mariupol, it's a good enough opportunity as well. GLSDB, I told you, August, late July, August. Who gave Girkin his black eyes? Mod, Wagner, other? Wait, I only saw Girkin with black eyes with wasn't it like a Photoshop? I thought it was Photoshop. Did he actually have black eyes? I for some reason thought it was Photoshop. Write me if Girkin actually had black eyes, because I thought there was fake. Yeah, I was pretty sure there was fake. Write me in chat if it was not fake. Mafpa, why do you think the Western newspapers, I mainly read New York Times, are so pessimistic towards the Ukrainian counteroffensive? It feels so good, counterproductive. Because it generates clicks. Worries generate clicks. Fear sells. Your fear sells, right? Because they feel that if you are afraid, you want to know. And that's the whole point. Like, there is nothing else there. Because when you start reading into them, there is no actual analysis, right? They don't want to get to the deep of it, like, you know, try to compare, like, for example, what the forces are. They just take whatever is there on the headline, and they just try to put it in a way that you will get worried. That is what these, like, Washington Post, New York Times, and so on are doing. They are just feeding on your fear. They're like leeches. So the only thing that you can do and is well, I mean, listen to this channel. I don't know, because let's go to the beginning. At the beginning, Ukraine was not supposed to survive until the first week of the war. Then it was unclear. Russians were about to, remember, they were selling you fear that Russia is about to encircle Kiev. Then they were selling you fear about Russia collapsing and taking the Donbass. Then they were selling you fear about Ukrainian counteroffensive in Kherson failed. Like, the problem is that this is not a new pattern, right? That's why I put the song of Sky, the "We Have Nothing to Fear Anymore," at the start of my streams, because Ukraine has Ukrainians have overcame their fear. And the only thing that is preventing you to trust in the armed forces of Ukraine and actually believe in victory, be so afraid of victory that you still think that there is there is still somewhere a chance for Russians to win, for Ukrainians to lose, is because you're reading these newspapers that are feeding this notion to you. And they're feeding this notion to you. Why? Because then you will come back. You are going to be good consumer. So be like Ukraine, overcome your fear, believe in armed forces of Ukraine. If you don't want to believe, if you want to be skeptic, do like I do. Say, okay, let's give Ukrainian military 2 months, and like, let's be fair, like if you would have been doing it like from the start of the war, by this point you will not be doubting anything. But if you want to doubt still and you want to start at this point, give us 2 months. It's now counteroffensive. If after 2 months Ukraine will breach this second line of defense, at least partially, or get very close, then it's fine. If by the end of September Ukraine will not retake the south, then there is something to fear, right? So take care of your mental health. Take care of the information hygiene. Know that most of the articles, they want you to, like, the only purpose of those articles is not to give you just information. They're using information to twist and turn it so you feel emotion, so you feel something when you read it, and then come back again. All right. Is it possible that Ukraine has broken through lines, but OPSEC is keeping it quiet? No, that thing would not be possible to hold. Ukraine controls a lot more territory than, for example, the maps are showing. That is something I can absolutely guarantee you, like absolutely guarantee you. But the breakthrough, that would not be possible. No. Because Russians would yell at each other. Like, as soon as there will be breakthrough, we will know, because Russians are going to start blaming each other. So far, they've been quite quiet. Kim C, click on the 3 dots on the right and dismiss the pinned message to see the QA bit. What? Click on the 3 dots right now and dismiss... What? I don't understand. What? Click on the 3 dots on the right and dismiss the pinned message to see the QA bit. I still don't get it. Sorry. I'm tough. I'm not tough, but like slow today. How long before Wagner and Kadyrovites start shooting at each other again? We'll see. I don't want to make predictions. To be honest, I would hope yesterday. But I don't know. I don't know that they will, to be honest. Because it's unclear right now what's going to happen. Well, let's see what's going to happen at the 1st of July. The pinned message covers the QA function. Sorry. There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ali. Oh, now I'm going to get more questions, right? Thank you so much. Don't click anything. Sorry. Yeah, because it could have been like a microphone. Like, let me show how the microphone works. All right. How long before? Are the Russians not familiar with the fuck around and find out theory? Yeah, I think they're gonna be soon figuring out the FO part. Hey, Maria, thanks so much for £2. I appreciate it. All right. Looks like Ukraine will obtain F-16s and F-18s from Australia, Hornets. Will they get some Gripens? Maybe. I mean, like, F-18s would be very nice. Like, F-18s, correct me if I'm wrong, again, not a technical nerd, don't know, but F-18s are really good because they have a lot of anti-air weaponry like that they can carry. So that would be very nice. Beyond that, by the way, Gripens would also be nice, but I think the problem with Gripens was that they were used mainly by Sweden. So Sweden, like, it was unclear if Sweden can supply sufficient numbers of spare parts to supply for Gripens. But additionally, I'm not sure if you noticed the news today. Right now, there are talks that some European countries, unknown countries in Europe, are looking to buy about like 100, I believe it was, Merkava tanks from Israel. So older Merkava 2 and Merkava 3 tanks. And Merkava is a nice tank. It's an older tank, yes, but it's a heavy tank. And like for Ukraine, as I always have said, any tanks. Gripens is great, but for infrastructure isn't there. Yes, that's what I've heard as well. That Gripens is just, it's a nice plane. It's a really good plane. Like the good parts about F-16s is there are shitloads of them. There are like thousands of them made. So that means that there's also multi thousands of spare parts for anything. So it's quite easy to get spare parts, to get anything, right? Because to build a new park for planes requires a lot of infrastructure. It's a whole new world of technology that needs to be adjusted. Heard anything about massive cyber attacks on the US government? No, not really. Not really. But I think it's like, there is like issue right now with Trump that everyone is mad because Trump got like arrested. I would think that that is a bigger problem right now in US than what is happening in Ukraine, to be honest. Hi, Georgie. Do you think Ukraine will open the front across the now gone Kakhovka reservoir? The fortifications there are not as big as my opinion. Yes. So about Kakhovka. Firstly, I've listened finally, like you asked me multiple times about the can Ukrainians cross now on the other side of the Kakhovka reservoir where the water was? And now there is no water. And basically the experts are saying that that part will dry up for months. It's going to be months until the ground there is solid enough to get through on any kind of heavy vehicles. Unless then Ukrainians will need to make kilometers and kilometers of engineering work. Can it be done? Yes, but is it easy? No, it's not easy at all. So while it looks like, oh, look, there is no water, the problem is not the water. The problem is like completely soaked land that is literally like a quicksand for tanks. Then with regards to the other part of Kakhovka Dam, the one where Russians were, so right now, that one will dry up a lot faster, maybe within a couple of weeks or a week or so. And now we know also that river is gonna look less threatening. So if Ukraine had plans on how to transfer forces beyond Dnipro River around the area of the same Kakhovka and Antonovsky Bridge around Kherson, it's a possibility. Maybe just with a little bit of a delay. Carnifexar, thank you so much for $200. Very nice seeing you again, by the way. Georgie, I have tremendous admiration and appreciation for what you do. Happy to help how I can. Thanks. I suppose a charity across our NATO lands with a focus of benefit for displaced children and their little lived torn up. And their little lived torn asubder by the madman, dictator Russia. I'm overdue to write and help with any need. Thank you so much, Carnifexor. I will keep you updated. On my channel, I gotta be honest with you. So when I started this channel, and this is still very, very true, I felt that at that moment, if you remember, the political discussion was, let's give Ukraine the non-lethal aid. And I was so mad about this. I was so mad about the fact that, we're not giving Ukraine the preventative medicine. We're not giving Ukrainians the support for the military that they need. We're only giving like some kind of a non-lethal aid or like some systems that really not really helping. So my initial goal of this channel was to support as much as I can Ukrainian military, because ultimately the faster this war is over, the more support Ukrainian military gets, the less people will gonna suffer, right? While I don't get me wrong, like I truly believe in pain relief donations. I truly believe in support for people, a support for different charities. Most of the time, like except I did like last Christmas, we did a charity for like displaced Ukrainians and so on. But I would love to keep my channel focused on support to Ukrainian military, because I believe only the armed forces of Ukraine are the only available negotiating power that is supporting Ukrainian independence and the fact that this war ends swiftly and justly. Why don't USA sends F4 Phantoms and F18 Tigers? I'm not sure. Cannot say. Like I haven't heard any analysts mention them, so I don't have a comment on that. I'm not as tech savvy. So again, not an expert, right? Like guys, we all know, not an expert, guy on YouTube only. So I can find out. I can try to figure out what the experts say about this. But if I don't know, I will tell you that I don't know. F4, it says, like Richard says, F4 is outdated, so maybe that. What do you think about channels like PDA and Weeb Union? Do you think they might be voluntary or not playing Russia's propaganda game? I mean, it's not really a question, is it? Like, if you think that that's a question, I'm not sure if they're getting paid by Russia, but I think they do enjoy a lot of the pro-Russian audience, a lot of pro-Russian clicks. They are happy, like, producing info that attracts clicks, that attracts money. They are literally just making money off of suffering for me, so I despise them. Anders Juel Jensen, 17 years of service in the Royal Danish Army. Everything I see says the armed forces of Ukraine will kick the trench goblins in the teeth. 100% trust. Fuck yeah, directly. Yes, I agree concretely. Completely. Let's see. What? Oh, there we go. Okay, I need to speed up with the answers because I'm taking way too long. There's a lot more. You say rightly that the pace of the advance of similar to Kherson, yet there are Russian forces to pull back because of the Dnipro. How will Ukraine do the same without the same conditions? Conditions can be created. Well, and again, it's not going to be a carbon copy of Kherson, right? It's going to be a lot different. But Ukraine has also different kinds of forces, and it's not going to be the same operation. I'm just like, when I said it's going to be like Kherson, I meant like tempo, that it's going to be slower, that it's going to take time to undermine Russian positions. It doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly like Kherson or conditions are the same. That is not what I said. Okay, how is development on secondary sanctions? Hungary is still blocking the passage. I've heard the Russians parallel imports of weapons parts are going to bid too well. Yes, exactly, Callus. So Western powers have shown that that money still matters. So our politicians are too slow and too unwilling to enforce sanctions on secondary reimports. So basically, countries can still say we're gonna transport some kind of double purpose equipment to Kazakhstan through Russia, and then they suddenly get lost on the way. Well, how did this happen? Oh no, what happened? And then like they lose one shipment, two shipment, three shipment, and then Russia get all their imports back. So unfortunately, Western democracies have proven incapable to standing up to aggression, and we're seeing a lot of backsliding in understanding the suffering of Ukrainians. People are very exciting for Ukrainian victory, but there is very little in a soft power sense of emphasizing with the payments in lives that trading with Russia does. So so basically, the statement right now is we are sending you a lot of heavy equipment, but we're not putting a lot of sanctions on the secondary companies. So the whole sanction game, I think it's mostly useless. We need to be very clear, because right now we are talking about Iran Iran having some kind of a weaponry program and like a ballistics missile program, which is a country that was under severe sanctions for what, like 50 years more or less, I don't know, but like a lot of decades. And that country is like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I it's very dissatisfying to talk about this, but I think it is something for us to reflect in the future. And I don't know, there is no quick solutions, right? There is no quick solutions. Business has shown that money is what matters. So all of these, like, oh, we're gonna put pressure on Russia. Yeah. Do you know Military and History channel? He sounds competent to me. He is competent. I disagree with him significantly on his how do you say? Not really buddy, but very caring attitudes towards Russians. I despise Russians. I think Russians need to be brought to justice. Right now, Russian population is literally Nazis. So unfortunately, that's why I'm not promoting him and so on. Otherwise, he has okay competences from what I've heard, comparable to some of my analysts. Though I haven't watched his content lately. Ska vi sanktioner lande det ikke sanktioner? Yeah, Anas, I don't know. I don't know if we need to sanction other lands. If sanctions don't work already, does more sanctions work? I don't know. Like, we really need to review our approach. Really need to review our approach. And especially review our approach to UN. You review, like, I believe after this war, the whole world order needs reviewing. And I'm really happy that Ukraine is able to fight for itself. I'm very unhappy in what was the Western response to this war and how we are dealing in even with the assurances that we've put on ourselves. It feels that we are saying a lot of things, we're promising a lot of things, but we don't go far enough to make sure that we deliver. Captain Copenhagen, after the explosion of the dam, as we NATO should interfere military. Military. Do you mean invade into Russia? No. Create gray areas around dangerous places? Yes. Like take control around Zaporizhia nuclear power plant? Yes. Make it gray zone. Like don't allow there. Close the sky, whatever. So I believe that was what needed to be done right away. Kakhovka Dam demilitarized. Zaporizhia nuclear power plant demilitarized. Everything else is like this. But that's what I believe, and that is my pure opinion. This one is pure opinion. This has nothing to do with military analysis. There might be a lot of consequences, but that's just my opinion, man. Hyperframes, does Putin want to open a new front on Belgorod? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Putin wants this war to be over. I just said what I think about the nuclear power plant. Do you think the armed forces of Ukraine will eventually get ATACMS? Yes, Ukraine will get everything. Maybe except for super long-range missiles, because there are protocols on the distribution of long-range missiles. Like I believe it's like 350 kilometers is like the break point. And nuclear weapons. What do you think about President Zelensky? I was thinking that he is too lenient. He is not supporting the politics that I liked in Ukraine before the war. However, in crisis, he's shown to be absolutely superior, and Ukraine is very lucky, and the world is very lucky that he was there. Any update on Bakhmut? Yes, there is. I will talk about it in tomorrow's video. Nukes in Belarus, your comments, it doesn't matter. Nukes in Belarus doesn't change anything. Lukashenko doesn't control nukes in Belarus. Russia could have bombed, nuked whatever it wanted. Movement of nukes is just headline, just to make you fear, just to make you read in the media. It doesn't add or remove anything. Completely irrelevant. It's all just to put headlines on your news. I mean, you're asking questions, so it works, right? So these nukes in Belarus are nuking your brain. I've answered this question like 15 times already, by the way. Kellen Dunn. Russian armed forces providing more air support in Southern Front. What armed force of Ukraine do? Are you concerned? Yes, I'm concerned because Ukraine needs new armed forces. It was always known that the aviation component will be a problem for Ukraine in this offensive. But the hope was that there will be enough substitute with anti-air systems, ground-based, that US and allies have provided. Unfortunately, it's not the case. It is proven to be a bigger challenge than expected. Thank you. Got me a QA BAM. Yes, thank you. Klaus, will be like Kherson offensive, no news from and goodwill gestures. Yep, it's quite possible. Is Crimea evacuating? Maybe, yeah. History Legends, your thoughts. He's a shill. I mean, shill in a bad way, not in a good way. From the channel The Shills, where Starsky goes to. Do you think the rate of liberation in the south is going good? Yes. So, with the rate of liberation, let me be very clear. People look at the map, and that's all they see. They're like, oh, I opened map yesterday, I opened map today, it's exactly the same. Ukraine, what the fuck? Where is the land? I've been following this war for 450 days. Why you not deliver land on the map? I want to see more green, less red. Ukraine, what the fuck? Sorry, but that is a little bit silly, right? We're talking about human lives. Like, people are trying to figure out how to undermine long-term build defenses. It's not a football game, right? They are trying to see how they can do it in a way that saves enough lives, that doesn't gonna cost you. The fact that Ukraine doesn't have air component means only one thing, that any kind of activity will be costly. And because it's proving a challenge, Ukraine is trying to adapt as much as they can. Beyond that, what Ukraine really wants to do is undermine Russian positions. That's why, for example, if you go beyond the map and you start scrolling, is like, what did Ukraine do? You start seeing like unending lists of key targets destroyed by Ukraine in the last 24 hours. You see like blown up, 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 killed. So what I know for sure is that I do not have enough competences of a military commander of a level of Zaluzhny to think that I know better, and demanding that just to make me feel good that they should run head first into the fortified Russian positions. I do not feel that it's right. I believe there is a specific operation that is happening in the south. I believe Ukraine knows what it's doing. I've set out, as I said, if you want to be skeptic, we can just check it out in a while. So judging the tempo with me, not understanding what is going on, and just judging by how often the colors change on the map is beyond ridiculous. It is armchair commanding to the level that is somewhat even insulting, to be honest. So yes, I think the operation in the south is happening right now in line with expectations of Ukrainians. I'm not sure whether were good expectations, what were bad expectations, but Ukrainian armed forces, and what I'm hearing, because the goal of armed forces is to execute on orders, reach the targets. And what I'm hearing right now is that the former forces on the ground are reaching the targets that they need. Captain Copenhagen, I believe that we must secure disaster areas with infantry and support the Ukrainian army counteroffensive with NATO's combined air force so Ukraine don't have to die. Yeah, that should have been done from the get-go, and right now it's not being done. I actually don't know why it's not being done, to be honest, because it hasn't been done before because there was this, escalation threat. Oh, it's like, oh, Putin is going to escalate. Ooh, escalation. Why is now? Why is now different? Like escalation, like Ukraine has done all of the possible provocations supposedly to the escalation. So there is little to no threats if NATO forces engages. Again, my opinion, like this is very important because what I'm saying right now, it is completely my opinion. And in my opinion, there are no red lines because Putin is a coward. He knows that if he, for example, uses nukes, he's dead. Like he's as dead as it gets. But if NATO engages, well, then this war is just over faster. Putin retreats into his own little shell, says, oh, we lost to NATO, not to Ukraine, and then can live happy in their propaganda bubble. So I believe that NATO engagement in this war in Ukraine would actually help this war end faster. But again, my opinion, like I want to underscore this because very often I tell things on this channel that are supplemented by a lot of things that I hear from analysts, but this is completely what I think. It is not justified in many kind of military analysis. How long will Dnipro River bed take to dry? I already said on the right side of Kakhovka River is going to take about a couple of months. On the left side, probably a couple of weeks. Can thousands of hot air balloons confuse Russia's air defenses? Yeah, maybe. Looking back near the start of the war, is there any light shed on why Ukraine didn't destroy the 40-mile convoy? Their artillery skill is sufficient, as we can see. There was no artillery. There was no artillery. We now know because there was declassified information. There's movies in Ukrainian on protection of Kyiv. If you want, I can share them on my Discord. They're in Ukrainian, but maybe you can find somewhere English translations. There are movies on this. Ukraine had barely any artillery in that area. There was almost none. There was literally only the artillery that protected the Kyiv itself. That's pretty much it. So remember that any kind of major Ukrainian forces, they were engaged on the eastern part of the front line near the United Forces operations, where the Donetsk and Luhansk were. The northern part, Kyiv, was mostly dependent on the fact that Russia will not advance because it is stupid. Because if they start to advance through the northern parts, then they will get themselves stuck on the narrow roads and they will become easy pickings for Ukrainians, especially Ukrainian partisans. And the calculation was that Russians are not that stupid to do it. But as we saw, Russians literally did, and they were easy pickings for Ukrainian partisans. The number of vehicles destroyed by Ukrainian partisans and Russians killed still doesn't match anything else that was happening or is happening in this war. It was completely ludicrous. They were destroying a normal or good size European army every week. It was completely ludicrous what Russia did. And then the one says like, well, yeah, but there was a 40-mile column. It didn't get destroyed. Yes, because like everything else, whatever was firing was already firing. We still cannot even comprehend just how much forces Russia put on those narrow roads. The fact that there was not one specific column destroyed just doesn't mean that like Ukraine just didn't have enough guns. Let's put it this way. You know the expression sitting ducks. There was so many ducks that you just didn't have enough ammo or ability to reload fast enough to hit all the ducks. That's why there was, so to say, perception that Ukraine didn't do good enough job. Okay. Worried about Belarus might have nuclear weapons, and what is the tactics behind it? There is no threat in Belarus receiving nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are still controlled by Russia. Russia can hit any spot in Europe or in US if it wants to. It has short, medium, and long term, supposedly have short, medium, and long-term weapons capabilities. There are nuclear weapons in Kaliningrad, in Königsberg. There are nuclear weapons right on the border with the Baltics. There are nuclear weapons right on the border with Finland. They have nuclear submarines that are swimming on. They're being tracked, but they're also swimming in the seas. If Russia wants to send a nuclear weapon, it can send it. The only damage these nuclear weapons are doing is to your sanity. It's a propaganda piece. Don't think about it too much. All right. Why the obsession with F-16s? There is a lot of them. There is a lot of them. Give Ukraine tactical nukes. I am not a proponent on that. I'm not a proponent of giving nukes to Ukraine. I don't feel that that would help Ukraine. Why not send, because like what Ukraine is going to do, right? Nukes are preventative measure, right? So nukes are like, don't attack us, we're going to nuke you. So if now all the countries will give nukes to Ukraine, what then Ukraine just nukes Russia right away? How is that going to help resolve the conflict, right? Because the preventative part of the nuke is kind of taken out. Because then you get into complete nuclear exchange. There is no such thing as a small nuclear war, right? So, and then threatening Russia, okay, we're going to nuke you so you get out. I'm not sure if it's going to work. It's like, because Putin right now is in a sunk cost fallacy. He thinks that his situation and position in Ukraine is so shit that he cannot give up, because otherwise he will be in deeper shit. So he's like sitting there right now just praying and hoping that something will change, that situation will improve, that there is going to happen somewhere in the world or anything else, that Ukraine will fall on something. Thank you, Lee Bell. Guys, please go to the link if you haven't been to the link of Help 99, because I had to delete it from the pinned message. We are gathering money for the truck to the armed forces of Ukraine, to get the truck to the armed forces of Ukraine. So if you consider donating to this channel instead, could you go there and donate to this truck, so we send support to Ukrainian military. For bigger donations, you get some special bonuses. You can get patches with some abstract art and Ukraine Matters on that. So support the Ukrainian armed forces. Remember, financially, I'm not dependent on YouTube. YouTube is not my job. So it's not necessary for my survival. I have a proper career. I have a proper job. I'm well financially stable. It's not like I'm like multimillionaire or anything like that. I'm just a normal guy that's just working a day job, but it's more than enough to support me and my family. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Why is Ukraine trying to kill disastrous general from Vuhledar? Should be kept alive. I mean, the point is, while general is alive, like all of these generals are about the same. Right? So let's be very clear. All of these generals are about the same. They have finished the same schools. They have been selected for exactly the same qualities. But existing general has existing command structure under him. So people that are loyal to him are under him and they know how to work. Whenever new general comes, he needs to take time to rebuild something. So it's additional like maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks for Ukraine, where Russian command will be preoccupied with rebuilding command structure rather than focusing on Ukraine. Dino, can Putin get killed by Ukraine or NATO or God or hopefully? Christopher, thanks for 10 Romanian Lev. People, oh, I remember you, Christopher. You were with the on the from the Jonathan. Like I saw you appear, your messages appearing on the Jonathan. People here who didn't live through the Cold War. Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure, we have very, very different people here. We have people that lived through Cold War. We have people that didn't live through Cold War. John Jensen, or you mean me that I didn't live through the Cold War? Yeah, probably. $5 Canadian. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Keep it up. I will. All right, let's continue. Would the Marines cross the lake and go around to prepare for defenses? I mean, maybe, Malcolm. Maybe they can cross, but again, it's going to depend on Zaluzhny. I think some action will happen over the river. Tim, hello, Georgi. Have you served in the armed forces of Denmark or your homeland? No, unfortunately, I haven't. When I was 21, I wanted to go and subscribe to be an officer in the Latvian armed forces. But unfortunately, I have asthma, so I cannot get to armed forces. I couldn't get to army. I would love to serve when I had the chance, but I was not fit to serve. So I didn't get in. Since then, I didn't have any connection to the military. There were a couple of times that I came for training of the like a local territory defense force in Latvia, but that's about it. How does a microphone work? Let me show you. If Putler dies, do you think... Okay, sweet. If Putler dies, do you think one of his doubles would take over for a while? No, I don't feel so. I feel that dictator's death is kind of very fundamental. So, Latvian, I thought you from Lithuania. No, I'm not. I'm from Latvia. Philip Flopsky, why isn't anybody using napalm? Because it's a little bit obsolete. Like, how do you deliver it? How do you deliver it? Like, think about how do you deliver it, and I think the answer will come to you itself. Lichtispit, when is the bridge gonna drop? I'm looking for it, waiting. When Ukraine thinks that it's time. The Weasel, do you think not being able to attack the Kherson from now will slow Ukraine drastically? No, I don't think so. Your Chrismello Tube. Nice nickname. Could Ukraine go further in east instead? Not like Russia will attack from Russia. The problem with the east, it doesn't solve the war, right? So why is oh my god, napalm is illegal? Oh my fucking god, holy shit. Are we really having like an argument? Oh, by the way, you know, like napalm is illegal. Like Russia has committed over 80,000 war crimes. You think they would care about using napalm? Do you think Ukraine would care to burn Russian troops with napalm? Like, they will not give a shit. Anyway, yes. So in the east, it would not solve anything because the southern part is solving a major war problem. It starts threatening and creating pressure and putting pressure on Crimea. Crimea and making Crimea untenable for Russia is a major push, because Crimea is a game changer. When Crimea is finally returned to Ukraine, it's going to be a huge hit against Putin. Political, cultural, anything. Like at that moment, like his reputation begins to shatter completely. Whew. What about Putin turning his back on Shoigu? It's people buy, like, people are buying too much into things that don't matter. Like, for example, people are literally analyzing what Putin said in the speech. This is what Jonathan asked me. Like, people asking us, like, oh, what do you think what Putin said? What did he mean? You know, like, it's literally this meme. Let me show you. Like, let me find this meme. Give me a second. Yeah, it's like people, you know, like really like thinking into this, like Russians, into Putin, into all of this. And whenever I'm looking at it, and I'm like seeing how people are like reacting, I'm literally, the only thing that I'm seeing is this meme. Like 100%. One would just like tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. You see? So that's what I'm thinking. Whenever I'm looking at the that Russians are trying to, like, everyone in the West trying to analyze like Putin's speech, trying to analyze everything else. For me, that's just like, come on. Jose Diaz, thanks for 20 bucks. Greetings from Puerto Rico. We love all for Ukrainian brothers and sisters. May God bless free Ukraine. Glory to the heroes and Slava Ukraini. Heroyam Slava, my friend. Thank you so much for the support. I'm pretty sure all of the Ukrainians. Oh, by the way, good news. So I have some Ukrainian friends, and they're gonna send me some how do we say, like, souvenirs. So I would love to give out those souvenirs to you. So if you have any ideas how you would like to, like, get these souvenirs, some kind of competition or whatnot, write me ideas. Like, so I'm gonna have some souvenirs from Ukraine. Like this famous stamp. I believe. I'm not sure if it's a stamp, but I think it's gonna be like a fridge magnet or something. With a Ukrainian warrior standing before the Moskva, that painting. So yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do donation marathon. Like, so the problem with donation marathon, right? And my problem with donation marathon, not that there is an auction or donation marathon. So that we if I would incentivize like a bigger donation, for example, give big chances, then I betray my own kind of unwritten rule, is that I love my community, everyone, because I communicate with you all the time. I communicate with the people that donate to this channel, that people that donate a lot to this channel, and people that donate at all to this channel, and they're writing me, like, for example, I cannot donate right now, like, I'm having, like, my wife has problems, my brother, like, I need to take care, but I'm still supporting Ukraine. There is 1001 reasons why people might not have the funds available to them. But I love all of you, because everyone here is really passionate for Ukraine. You wouldn't listen for over 1 hour some random guy in Denmark sitting and describing you quite obvious stuff about why Belarus nuclear weapons don't matter. It's because you care about Ukraine, and I care about you. So for me, saying is like, oh, if you donate, then that's only when it matters, and I don't feel that it's quite right. Do you see where I'm coming from, guys? Like, so I would love to do something for everyone in the community, and not just the people that are able to share some of their disposable income. Like, other times, sharing disposable income matters. Like, for example, for charity for children that we did for Christmas. Right now, this charity with the truck, when we're doing something, people can donate, then donate. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to treat any single one of you here just because, like, you get more money to me, because money is nice, but for me what matters is just interaction. Like, so think about this. If you have ideas, write me a message, write me an email, or go to Discord and just write me in Discord. I'm sure, like, just Discord, right? Like, at Ukraine Matters in Discord, and in Discord, these notifications, they persist even if I log in like a day later or something. So I will read it. All right. Hi, Poland says they may send troops to Ukraine if NATO don't support them enough. Do you think this could happen? No, I don't believe so. I think I know what you're referring to, but I think it was denied later on, like this statement. So I think this is a repost of an older statement that were not true. Unless it's something new that I don't know, but I don't feel that it's something realistic. Thomas, Starsky posted today about the U.S. House work on the law to pass 350 billion United States dollars of Russian frozen assets to Ukraine. Starsky was very emotional about that. Do you think about it? I think that's justice. So, Tomasz, I think like 350 billion is not that much. It would help Ukraine for sure. It would help Ukraine get a lot of weapons for sure. But I think first and foremost, why this is important, because this is justice. It's the start of a longer process of delivering justice for Ukraine. Remember when I told you that we need to look for a peace in Ukraine, and no one wants more peace than Ukrainians themselves. But Ukrainians and everyone in the world should want just peace. They want just peace. And one of the preconditions of just peace is that Russia needs to pay for the damages it did to Ukraine. So I think it's good. Is it possible that Ukraine is it possible that Ukraine fixed all Russian troops in south in the Orikhiv and Vasilivka directions, and then the actual attack to take place in Vuhledar? Yes, absolutely. People don't really understand just how long the southern front line is. It's over 450 kilometers, guys. Ukraine needs like 10. So Ukraine has over 40 places where it can hit. So Ukraine has plenty of options. Obviously, some are more favorable, some are less, but there are plenty of options for Ukraine to hit. So when you're saying that, oh, like, can Ukraine attack other place? Yes, it can. F-16 Super Hornet from Australia can carry just about everything. Nice. Simone, will the West actually give jets to Ukraine fast enough and large enough quantities? From what I'm hearing, yes. JC the Music Man, why is Hungary blocking Sweden but did not block Finland? Because Hungary is dicks. Not Hungary. Orban is a dick. Orban is a dickhead. Hungary is dictatorship. They are assholes. I think they should be kicked out of NATO. I think they should be kicked out from the European Union, or at least suspended. Marshmallow Fella, Sweden, Czech, and Hungary for Gripens. Yeah, okay, nice. Kellen Dunn, does Armed Forces of Ukraine have enough mobile air defense and electronic warfare systems to contract route drones and aircraft like K-52? It seems that most AD are defending cities, leaving frontline troops vulnerable. Kellen, unfortunately, not enough. Not enough. Ukraine has some, but not enough. John Poulter, hi Georgie, would love to see Thomas Steiner as a guest. Ooh, Thomas Steiner is great. Like, he's been very, very accurate in his predictions. Sometimes he has been way too enthusiastic in his predictions. But overall, yeah. How can I send money for that truck car? Wait, didn't we post the link? I will post link again. So I just posted link to how you can support. Just go to this. I don't want to pin the comment. I'm actually gonna, guys, I'm gonna close the Q&A section because there's a lot of questions beyond. I will read the questions that are here. I will answer those, but I think on that we will end the QA section, and I'm gonna instead pin the car message. There we go. If there's gonna be more questions, I will add them. I will, how do you say? Oh no! Oh, YouTube, why so stupid? Oh, YouTube. Oh my God. Why, if there is a solution, why is it always stupid? So when you stop the Q&A session, all the questions that were asked in that QA session get deleted. So not just QA stops, everything stops. Oh. And they're gone. Yes. Oh, wow. Must have seen my comments. Oh, okay. Then let's do the old style, guys. Write a question with @Ukraine matters. I'm gonna answer what I can. Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. Let's do half an hour more, and then I'm gonna. I think I'm way too tired for today. I still need to work tomorrow. But I do love you all. Let's see. Tosun Abi, what do you think about Russians abroad? I don't know how to treat them. Enemy, neutral. I have a feeling there is a little putler in all of them. So, Tosun, you know position what I did. Like, obviously, I'm one of the bigger Russophobes on the English-speaking media, right? I'm very, very skeptical to all of the Russians. So what I've learned, but besides that, I do have Russians that I interact with, and I'm able to hold conversations, and I'm able to talk with. What I have put with is I've shifted my default position. You know, like my default position with interacting with people is that people are generally good, and I'm expecting good things from people, right? Or at least positively neutral things. For the Russians, whenever they say Russians, my default position is instantly they should be questioned for if they are full of shit or not. I would really recommend, it's a little bit confrontational, So that will be like, it's like it's not something that we do a lot in the Western society, but you can ask a question instantly up front. Who does Crimea belong to? There is only one answer that needs to come out of their mouths as fast as possible, and they should say Ukraine. If they start flip-flopping, if they start considering, if they start discussing, if this requires extension, discussion, whatever, it cannot be solved, fuck them. Fuck them in their fucking faces. I'm sorry for cussing, like, because that is a fascist. In front of you is a fascist, is a person that will, can, and probably given the chance, do it themselves, agree to an order to execute Ukrainians and probably execute you. So in that sense, it's a very good question to start off the conversation with. How do you feel about YouTube right now? Can I skip? Skeptic Lama, you keep telling people to email you, but you don't list your email anywhere. My email is listed in my YouTube about page. There is like email, and then there is like email for inquiries. No? If it's not there, I'm gonna double check. But like people do message me somehow, so it's in my YouTube about page. Which is harder, YouTube or day job? YouTube, definitely YouTube, definitely YouTube. My day job is something that I absolutely adore. I love working with data. I love working with what I do. I love working with people. So, with all eyes on the sights, where else should be watching? Bakhmut. Bakhmut and Marinka direction, probably, potentially. Does Ukraine pay for the Lend-Lease? The Lend-Lease Act has not been triggered. So you put it in quotations, so I'm not completely sure what you're referring to. Is this the Russian Lend-Lease, or this is like just another name for the Presidential Drawdown Authority from the US, or is the Allies' deliveries to Ukraine, or is it the equipment that Ukraine buys itself? I don't understand the question. So Milan, Leopard 2 from Germany, 14 more to Ukraine. Your thoughts? I want to see more. Yes, more tanks. It's not enough. We need to understand that Ukraine received like just over 100, like I think like 150 or something, Western style tanks. Ukraine needs thousands of them. Thousands. Like the scale of the war is this yay big. You cannot send yay big and say, well, that's enough. Job's done. The scale of the war is larger. Ukraine needs advantage where it can get whatever it can get. Do you think there's someone milking this war for money? I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people that are milking this war for money. Or if you think that there is a secret conspiracy to create this war just to make money, then no, definitely not. Otherwise, refer to the meme about Russian complex creatures. Tobias, thanks for 20 Swedish kroners. Appreciate it. Russia moved anti-ship missile systems to Belarus close to Kyiv. They will try to hit Kyiv Dam. Are you concerned? No, I already answered Kellen this question during the discussion with Jonathan. Dams are formidable. They cannot be destroyed, literally impossible, by the outside forces. It's nearly impossible, like almost completely impossible. So the only way that Russia was able to blow up the Kakhovka Dam is because they were controlling it. They have explosives inside of it where it mattered. Just firing at the dam does not delete it. Stephen, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it. Pierce, how will Ukraine handle the Russians that moved into Crimea since 2014? They will be treated as illegals. Yes, they illegally crossed the border of Ukraine. Like the fact that Russia took over some land, they stole something, does not mean that other people that violated the law are suddenly excluded for it. They are illegal immigrants. They moved into houses of Ukrainians that were either taken away or displaced or killed and tortured or taken prisoner, right? its occupiers. They're committing cultural genocide. They're bringing in more Russians and not only displacing Ukrainians in Crimea, but more importantly, they're displacing Crimean Tatars, people that are not natively living in this land for so long now. And they're committing a cultural genocide. Like Tatars right now are having it the worst. It's just no one is reporting about what's happening in Crimea. People look in Crimea and think, oh, Russians came into, so they're living like happily ever after in that Crimea. No, there is a complete cultural genocide that is happening right now in Crimea. It's just we completely don't cover it. We cover like how many nukes did Belarus get, but that sells. Writing about Crimean Tatars again got how do we say, were pushed out of their residence, their mosques closed and destroyed, and any kind of activity that they were trying to do, any kind of community that they had was dispersed. But we don't report about this because it doesn't sell. Question: what's the tally for vehicles for NATO 69 from Estonia? Tally, you mean the total current number? Let me see. Oh, I don't have the link to the... Will this work? No. Yeah, I cannot check it, unfortunately, because the one, like, so they're using like additional website for it, where the money comes in actually, and then it updates once every certain things. Currently, we are at 16,600, but I cannot see yet whatever was contributed during this stream. Will you do the what will you do after the Ukraine war ends? I don't know. It's a good question. We will discuss it all together, guys, because you are part of this channel, so you are also invested. So we will have an honest talk about what do you want from this channel. Do you even need this channel after that? But so for example, I say that I send 50% of this channel's profits to Ukraine. But honest question from you, and like I've answered this plenty, is like, what do you do with the other 50%? And we discussed this. And what I do is mostly to cover, expenses for like lights, any kind of improvements for the channel. But right now there was a very good proposal, and I think I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna accumulate some of that money, and I'm gonna invest in businesses in Ukraine. I'm gonna help grow Ukrainian enterprises. I'm gonna help people in Ukraine find jobs, start businesses. Not only for myself with my own money, but also get some of the investors maybe help invest in Ukraine. So that's kind of like, because I'm a guy in business corporations. That's my specialty. That's kind of my idea. So if I'm gonna have this money from this channel that is gonna be offered, okay, cool. Then I'm just gonna invest it, because to be honest, like for my normal life, I don't need that much money. I'm not like I don't find the reason in money for the sake of money. I find money relevant when it helps stuff. So you helping me grow this channel, watching this, getting YouTube advertisement funds, I'm able to donate half of it. The other half was first and foremost to pay for this channel, so it doesn't reflect on my family. And now it's the channel that is making money, so I guess I will be just investing it, making sure that Ukraine grows as a proper, how do you say, capitalist society or something like that. Like, boost some of the maybe startups or something like that. We'll see. We'll have a talk with it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. What do you think about Zaluzhny? And jokingly, what the Russians say they killed him in April? Names. I mean, like, talking about death of Zaluzhny is just memes. It's fun. But what I think about it, I mean, he's genius general. He's incredibly smart. He's thinking like outside the box. He's a very good expert. He understands Russia really well. He understands how to fight Russia. So it's really nice. Really nice. OCT, thanks for being a member. Love you. I love you guys. Thanks. Tobias, thank you. Welcome to Bar of the Romans. M. Lee, thanks for 20 bucks. Victory for sure. Okay, I'm going to wrap up and I'm going to finish questions. So no more questions, guys, please. I'm going to wrap up with whatever we have. Do you think Alexander Lukashenko is close to being overthrown? No, I don't think so. I think there was a lot of hoax around him, like nothing has proven right. Sergey, hey, just joined the stream. Have you updated regarding Novakhovka Dam blown by terror Russians? Because your video on this topic has some misinformation. Yes, Sergey. So for people that don't know, my theory was that, and watch again my video, what I said. My video said like that the main theory right now is that Russians blow up the dam, but I did not saw enough evidence that it happened at that moment. So instead, I said like, what could be the potential plausible theory for that? And I explained what I thought. And most importantly, some people thought that I said that Russians were not at fault, which is completely untrue. I stated in the most serious terms that it was only and only Russians' fault. It is only Russians' fault and only they're responsible. So, but since then, people have watched my videos, they've reached out to me, they provided evidence, they provided links. So now there is no doubt in my mind that Russians blow up the dam. So there has been plenty of evidence that Russians blow up the dam. So that, like, obviously there are not like conclusive evidence right now for countries to prove it in a court of law, but there are plenty of evidence to support that Russians in fact did it. So yes, I've updated my position on them. John BBB, do you know any open source projects helping Ukraine? Something like autonomous drone software would be awesome. There's a lot of small projects. I can try to look up, but I don't have any direct connections. Photo 4, your opinion on a very statue of war criminal Milosevic in Moscow. A new statue. I mean, like, oh, statue of war criminal in Moscow. There is a war criminal in Moscow alive. Let's get that one down first, and then we can deal with statues. MiG-29, Ukraine honored a small German businessman in Germany. Are such small gestures important? Yeah, of course. Of course. Like, small things, what matters. What we understood in this war, in this huge war that is tragedy for millions and millions of people, is that small things matter. All the Ukrainians, they're saying thanks to European Union, to people in Europe, to people in the United States, not because like there is like a macroeconomic help to Ukrainians, obviously yes, but the more importantly, it's because on the personal level, you know, there were blankets, there were Polish people that welcomed a lot of Ukrainians into their homes. There were people from other countries that also accepted refugees. You know, it's what the communities did to support communities, what all of the small people, supposedly small, like myself, are doing to help Ukraine win. Yes, everything small matters. So I'm very, very happy that Ukraine is recognizing some of it. And I would love Ukraine to do more after the war to recognize what you guys also did, like to everyone, to have like a, I don't know, like a big thank you sign to all of the people that supported Ukraine. Gregory Smith, could we see civil war in Russia with Wagnerites joining the Russian army? Potentially, I don't know. Don't care. I really don't care what's going to happen in Russia. Like, I really don't care completely. One Grail. Should the outside world collectively stop referring to Russians as Russians and start referring to them by their oblast? It's a fun meme, but only if you want. Like it's a joking. It wasn't me. Is there any news about Australian Hornets that could be donated to Ukraine? Negotiations are ongoing right now, so no precise information so far. Joanna, what do you think will happen to the war if Belarus is forced to enter the war against Russia? Belarus hasn't entered the war on the side of Russia. Belarus will not enter the war on the side of Russia. That's like, if there was a time for Belarus to enter, that time is long past. Lukashenko is not blind. He's a lot smarter than Putin is. Lukashenko is as actual proper politician. He understands when things are hot. So he's right now playing for Russians just because he doesn't have any other options. But he understands very, very well what is happening. So that's why Belarusian army will not join the war. Pierce, what are the chances of disaster at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant? Have we seen Russian implement a scorched earth policy at Novakhovka Dam? It's gonna turn the war nuclear. It's not Ukrainian problem anymore. It's a world problem. World has already said that any kind of problem with a nuclear power plant at Zaporizhzhia is literally the same as using nuclear weapon. So that's it. So I don't feel that because the consequences are very simple. It's the end of Putin, physical end. And I hope this time allies will pull through. Roderbergis, was there any immediate reason for you why you wanted to serve in Latvia? Any immediate threat? I'm kind of stupid on the political situation there. No immediate threat. It was just very prestigious to be in the military in Latvia when I was growing up. Like, it was during the time when Latvians were serving in Iraq. So it was good pay. It was kind of prestigious, you know. Then we got this reform of the military. So like the military got all of these like really cool outfits. I mean, like I was 20 something years old, you know. That was what mattered for me back then, you know. Yeah, and it looked pretty good career. Like that's yeah, that's about it. Okay, let's see. Question: know anyone who can give good information on buying property in Ukraine? We're interested for the future to add this as a vacation home and otherwise boost tourism. Z Laurealt, can you reach out to me on email? I'll find you some websites on how to reach out to that, and maybe find out some friends that can also help out. Sub here, you can blog about rebuilding efforts in Ukraine. Yeah, for sure. Invest in Ukraine. Yeah, for sure. But we'll see, because I still want to live in Denmark. Denmark is a country that I love absolutely the most. I'm supporting Ukraine, but Denmark is my pure love. Digidon, money is like manure. It needs spreading around. Nice. I'm out of today, peeps. Love you all. Love you all, Kripke. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Slava Ukraini, for sure. Simona, I know it's a really important point, but Crimean Tsars being displaced really reminds me of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. What do you think about this? I'm not going to go deep into that topic. I have opinions on that. My opinion is very simple. As much as I support Palestine, I feel that Israeli state has proven its right to existence, because Israelis have been attacked and is being bombed from all sides. On the other hand, I completely understand that why Hamas right now is the predominant power in Palestine, because I've talked with people from Palestine, and I know that a lot of why Hamas has grown was because of how Israelis were expanding into the existing settlements of the Palestinians. But if you put like on a, like, who do you support now, Israeli or Palestinian? It's very easy for me. I support democracy, so it's Israel. But with that said, I completely understand why Palestine wants to have their own territory, and unfortunately, that land has been fucked beyond recognition. And definitely, it's not for a guy on YouTube that is not that well versed in the area to provide any kind of potential input. But my position is simple. I support democracy, therefore Israel. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the time you put into this channel, especially when you, Georgies, are so busy with your day job right now. Thanks. Thanks, it wasn't me. Yeah, I appreciate it. M. Davis, we love you, Liv. We love you, bad attitude and a beautiful face. Hiram Slava, for sure. Do we know how is mobilization in Russia currently working? It looks like they're going to cover unannounced mobilization. Maybe, yes. Yeah, maybe. Okay. I think I'm close to finishing up with the questions. If Russia collapses, should Ukraine reclaim the 1918 historic borders? No. I don't believe that Ukraine should go beyond its borders. I think Russia needs to collapse and they need to figure out on their own where their borders lie, but I don't think Ukraine should be taking territory. Uh-huh. Yes, I think I'm slowly finishing up. Yes, that's my email. Sure. Thank you, Ali, for sharing that. I heard European countries will buy 200 Israeli Merkava tanks to send to Ukraine. Any thoughts? Yes, I talked about this before. I think it's good. I think these tanks are good. It's going to be a good contribution. Ukraine needs a lot more tanks. If Russia collapses, should Ukraine? I already said that. I never heard about Ukrainian lend-lease as well. Moldova conflict. Right now, everyone is waiting on it to be resolved civilly uh, after the war in Ukraine ends. It's expected that Russian troops will withdraw. Palestinians were spotted fighting for Russia. Yes, because it's a difficult question, right? Because I very much emphasize with Palestinians, like how they're fighting. I understand them well, but I feel that they radicalized beyond my empathy somewhat. It's very hard for me to emphasize. Though I've talked with some people that really explain their position to me and explain that they just don't have the other options than to just kill all Israelis. And that is, I'm not sure how I feel about that still. So it's a difficult conflict. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not something that one can cover in like 2 sentences. It's something that, like, I mean, like, people have been discussing for more smarter people than I am have been discussing for so long. But I support democracy. I feel that we need more democracy, not less. We need more love, not less. We need more Ukraine, not less. Support Ukraine, guys. Slava Ukraini. I love you all. And I'll see you next time.